have anything else to lose.
That's it.
She had nothing else to lose. So it was worth everything, everything, just for her to press through to get to him.
Amen.
It was worth it all.
Glory to God.
So if you can picture that it was she was struggling down this dusty road, no telling how many times that she had to stop and rest, just trying to get there. We also don't know how many times she actually fell
Amen.
along the way,
That's right.
because she kept pushing and struggling along. How many of us today are that determined to get to Jesus,
Amen.
like this lady?
Amen.
How many of us are that
Yeah.
determined,
Amen.
no matter what? So as she reached the crowd where Jesus was, she had started pushing her way through the crowd with no strength left. She had no strength left in her because she had struggled just to get there. That she had to find a way to get to Jesus. And if you imagine a huge concert crowd today, well, everybody in that day wanted to get to Jesus.
Yeah.
No matter what, they wanted to see what kind of miracles he was performing or what he had to say, because he walked the roads and taught
Yes.
as he walked.
Amen.
So he was teaching as he's traveling along. So they just walked along with him. So you don't know how long she even struggled trying to get there. So we don't know how many times that she was knocked down trying to get through the crowd. So if you can visualize how she was knocked down on her hands and knees as she began to crawl through the crowd. Most likely her hands and knees were bleeding.
Amen.
People are stepping on her hands and her
Yes.
fingers. That most likely they were bleeding. She knew there was no other option for her. There was no other option. There was no way for her to continue to live in her condition.
Yes.
So she had nothing to lose.
Amen.
She had nothing.
Jesus.
So whatever it was worth it.
Amen.
She had to make sure that she could get to Jesus.
Yeah.
She continued to push through the crowd. Through the persistence, she gets to him and she just reaches out and just touches the hem of his clothes.
Amen.
Now,
Yes.
I'm thinking she was struggling through there, that I'm thinking she's just reaching out with all of her might just to touch the hem, because the crowd is pushing. They're shoving and they're pushing. But she had to get to Jesus. And he said, "Who touched me?" Now Peter and all the followers, they didn't even know why he asked that. Peter said, "Master, why do you ask who touched me?" Or who touched you?
Yes.
Because there was no way in all that crowd to know who all touched Jesus.
That's right.
Come on.
Because they almost crushed him because of the crowd pushing.
Yes.
So they didn't understand why he would ask who touched me when people are pushing and crushing him in the crowd. And Jesus said, "Someone touched me." And they were healed. I felt the virtue go out of me. And Jesus wanted to know who had the faith to reach out and touch him. It wasn't about everybody else touching him. He wanted to know who had the faith to reach out and touch him. And that was the difference in that touch. He said, "I just want to know who had the faith to reach out and touch me." Because of the law, see, she didn't want to be seen.
Yes.
So she just wanted to touch him and stay quiet.
That's it.
Because she was breaking the law
Oh, yes.
just to get there.
That's it.
So she just wanted just to touch him and move back quietly
That's it.
and not make a scene.
Don't you know?
Because she
Say
knew she
that.
had to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was breaking the law to get there too.
Glory.
And Jesus did come forth. She fell. And she said, she fell, came forth and fell at his feet. And she proceeded to tell Jesus that it is I. And she told him her story and her condition. And she had to tell them because that's her testimony.
Yes.
And she had to speak that because she reached with faith, so she had to speak her
Yes.
healing.
Amen.
So she told them of her story. And what had taken place there was no way that she could remain silent then,
Jesus,
see,
that's it.
because she was a
Amen.
new woman.
Yeah.
She was completely new and made whole.
Glory to God.
So there was no
Yes.
way that she could stay silent
That's right.
no
Yes,
longer.
Jesus.
And besides, no longer, she was not breaking the law.
Yeah.
She was not breaking the law anymore. She was clean and made whole.
Hallelujah.
So she could speak out
Glory, glory to
her
God.
healing.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
as she had pushed through this crowd, that it had came throughout my life, pushing and struggling, even growing up, and many times and many things in my life that's happened, even as being a preacher's kid,
That's it.
a PK,
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I saw things in churches, many times. People said many things. And you can go on and on and on
Yes.
for so many years, that you grew up in that you can
Yes.
see and know so many things that it's just, it's amazing how people can struggle and cover it up and keep going. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of times that even as a child growing up in church, I felt like I got knocked down.
That's it.
And
Amen.
that I was crawling like the lady.
Mm-hmm. Glory to God.
I felt like there was many times that there was people just, you would catch those blows and you just felt like you're knocked down and you're crawling.
Yes.
Maybe your hands and knees are bleeding,
Hallelujah.
pushing through the crowd to
Yes.
just push on.
Yes.
A lot of times.
That's right.
There's many things that I've experienced by just pushing on and keep it going.
Yes.
Crawling, a lot of times crawling.
That's right. Amen.
And I can tell you so many things that I experienced growing up in church, a lot of times because we traveled with different evangelists, that I probably experienced a lot more than other children did
Yes.
because my dad played the guitar for all of them, and my mom being a preacher, and she worked with all these ministers, so I saw a lot, I experienced a lot.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
I was on the missionary field that went to Mexico, which was an awesome experience.
Yes.
That I saw a lot of things there, that this life changing, because when you go to another country and you come back here, and you learn to appreciate this country a whole lot more.
Amen.
Amen.
So maybe everybody needs to go to another country
Come back.
Yeah.
and come back here,
Yeah.
Yes.
and there'll be a lot more difference, a different view when you go to another country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my first marriage, that I don't talk about a lot, in my first marriage, it was always a struggle, always. There was always something that would knock me back down, always. Sometimes I felt like the breath was knocked out of me a lot of times because of unexpected blows
Yeah.
that I would receive along the way, that I was caught off guard,
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and that's when it'll really knock you to your knees, and you crawl till your hands and knees are bleeding.
Say that.
Because there's a lot of times that you can get caught off guard. And many things that comes our way through life, that we just get caught off guard sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
And it happens with everybody.
Mhm.
It may be on your job, or it may be the closest friend you have,
That's right.
or it may be a relative, but sometimes you just get this blow you're not expecting, and it can just knock you to your knees.
Amen.
You know, you're just not expecting that, so it just knocks you down.
Amen.
Yes.
And knocks the breath out of you sometimes.
That too. Amen. Say that.
But there's many times that I felt like that I was on my hands and knees crawling more than I was up.
Mhm.
I was always pretty much down more than up, crawling and struggling through so many things that David can tell you I don't talk about. I just don't, because God has lifted me up,
Yes.
Yes. Amen.
and I don't look back, I
That's
look
right.
forward.
That's
Yes.
right.
Amen.
Amen.
And that's what you have to do.
That's,
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can't stay there. You just don't look back in the rearview mirror. You
amen.
look forward,
That's right.
because
That's right.
God has a plan for everybody.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, you can allow Him to take that plan and fulfill it,
Yes.
but
Yes.
He has a plan for every life,
Amen.
everybody. There's most of the time through my whole struggle of all the years that I struggled, no one never knew. I always was the same. I kept it covered up. I managed to go. So no one ever knew when I was down and crawling.
Mhm.
Wow.
No one knew that.
Amen.
Because I pressed through to Jesus.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
I
That's it.
pressed through,
Yes.
and that's all that matters.
That's right.
Yes.
You
Glory.
don't have to tell nobody nothing.
Mhm.
You don't have to go out and tell nothing.
Yes.
That's right.
Just press. Just press through. Crawl.
Yes.
It's okay to crawl. You might have scars, but it's okay.
Yes.
You just press right on through, because that's the only one that's gonna bring you victory. That's
Amen.
the only one.
Amen.
And there was many times I didn't have food to feed my kids. A lot of times I didn't have a job, or no way to even get to my job if I had one. I know what it feels like for a 38 to brush right by my shirt as I jump back.
Yes.
I know exactly what that feels like. I can't describe it to you, but I know what it feels like.
Yes. Amen.
I know exactly what it feels like. And I know God has a plan. You know, He has a plan when we don't even know it.
Yes.
So even when you're down crawling on your hands and knees, the devil can't stop what God has planned for your life.
Amen.
He can't stop it. So if you feel like you've been crawling and you can't go any further, just reach out and touch Jesus' hem.
That's it.
All you got to do is just
Hallelujah.
touch.
Yes.
You don't
Glory.
have to make a scene. You don't have to make a scene in the crowd. Just reach out and touch. That's all you got to do.
Jesus.
He's right there. At times, as we trust God and believe, we have to understand there's a lot of times when we feel like we can't even walk.
That's it.
He'll carry you. He'll
Amen.
carry you through.
Hallelujah.
He'll carry you through.
Amen.
No matter what you're facing today, Jesus is there.
That's it.
Yes.
No
Amen.
matter.
Say that.
So, through all this, there was a time that I just felt like, even after all of this, I had crawled and I was going as far as I could go. Years later, God sent David to me,
Amen.
and He placed him in my life
Thank you, Lord.
when I had crawled again to my hands and knees, was bleeding again, pushed as far as I could push. But I didn't know what He had planned for us. But when God has a plan, the devil can't stop it.
Amen. Say that.
He can't stop it.
Amen.
It doesn't matter.
Thank you, Jesus.
He's gonna try. He's gonna do everything he can. And he's gonna do everything he can to get you to give up.
Yes.
Just lay down. While you crawling, just lay down and give up. Don't get back up. That's his plan.
Nice.
But God has a plan for your life. And you just keep pushing on. Just keep pushing
Amen.
forward.
Yes, amen.
We have always been in ministry and involved in most everything in the church. We have always been, ever since we have been married, we have worked in the church. Helped in many areas in the church.
Yes.
And we saw so many things in ministry. We have seen so many miracles take place right before our eyes. David was even holding a lady's leg when they was praying for it, and it grew out right in his hand.
Amen.
We prayed for a lady that had, she was a diabetic and she had cellulitis. And her legs were so red and so hot you couldn't touch them. And she had 2 toes from diabetes that was already black. And the doctor had already said he had to take them off. And we prayed for her, and we stood right there and watched all the color
Hallelujah.
come back to her legs.
Glory to God.
We watched those
Yes,
black
Jesus.
toes that she had almost completely lost.
Yes.
We watched them turn white,
Glory.
and they turned right back to the natural color right before our eyes.
Yes. Hallelujah.
We've just seen
Thank you,
so
Jesus.
many things happen, you know,
Amen.
that God just has a plan,
Yes, He does.
and you just follow it.
Thank you, Lord.
And He's going to show you things. He's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to leave you out there distressed. Just walk in His ways. Just walk in His ways. There came a time in our life where we had to push through again. We went through a period in our ministry that was very hard and trying for us. I won't go into any details, but I will give you a general idea of what happened and does happen. Many times it happens. There were many things that were said and done. The truth became stretched, and things are believed that are not true. It continued on for so long that others turned their back on us in the ministry. They wouldn't speak to us, and all we could do was just keep pushing and crawling through.
Amen.
And I mean, we were crawling. That was it, just crawling, barely crawling. It went on for so long that I felt like we had crawled until our hands and knees was bleeding. And there was a time that we had just pushed through, that we just felt like we couldn't push. We just was barely crawling. But then God said, I have a plan for you, and even when you are weak, I will refresh you and strengthen you.
Amen.
So at this point in our lives, we started going to school for ministry, for David to become an ordained minister. This was a trying time as well, as we pushed and crawled for 2 years, working 10 hours a day and then studying every night.
Yes.
We had classes online. We had to read so many chapters every night. And those hours got long and trying.
Yes.
It was a push and a crawl. But as our classes was online there, we could study at home, but then we had classes in Birmingham once a month that we had to go to. That was it was seminars that we had to go to in Birmingham all day on Saturdays. So we had all day there, no breaks.
No.
But as God took us through this journey, He started opening up doors for us that we just had never seen.
Amen.
They were just
Amen.
doors we